right, welcome to the Local Pickup. I'm Jason Broadwater, and we don't have Chris Gervais with us today, except he is here. He's behind the camera. Say hey, Chris. Yay! And we are in the coolest store anywhere around. This is a vintage guitar store, amp store, repairs. It's called Heyday Guitars. And Charles, let's start out. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into vintage guitars and opening the store?
Oh, okay. So I went to school at App State in Boone for recording.
Okay, wow.
So this used to be called, myself and the other owner were employees at a place here in town called Sherwood's Music. So that was my internship for college.
Nice.
So I got out, instead of doing like the studio thing, because I wanted to still enjoy recording.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the chef and the
I know, yeah,
thing, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. Exactly.
So
yeah.
I was like, all right, I have a lot of old gear. I can intern at this place, be the retail manager, learn how to fix my stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
There we go. So then, 4 years go by, and I was basically the manager.
Yeah.
There was me and Brian, and then Matt Sherwood, who's the owner. So it's kind of just like the three of us.
Yeah.
And there's a couple like part-time employees to help me out, but we did that for 4 years about. And then the owners of the building wanted to, put a hotel there and all that kind of stuff.
Right,
so,
yeah.
It was time for the lease to come up, and Sherwood wanted out, and we're like, oh, yeah, let's keep going. So,
yeah.
Changed the name, moved it down, basically purchased all the assets,
right.
Created a new business. We have all these assets and all the dealer accounts and all that stuff. And then
Is that when you moved to here?
Yeah. So
okay.
then that would have been 2015 we took it over. 2016 we moved in here.
Okay.
Basically like finished out the 2015 lease and then moved it down here. So this summer will be 4 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
So, but it really, in my mind, it's been 8.
Right, yeah.
So,
right, yeah. Well, it's a great spot. I mean, Lexington, right here, North Lexington and downtown Asheville.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, I bet.
And the Moog factory is just right down the road.
Yeah.
So it's like you get a lot of people that walk in with their Moog bags. And I mean, we're friends with all of those people.
That's great.
And we were sending, what's cool is we were always sending people down kind of this block anyways.
Yeah.
Because with Static Ages next door and Voltage Records is a little bit down the way. And
yeah.
we've got, like our friends own the bars around here. And
yeah.
Like, so
it's a community.
Yeah, this is kind of like a local block in downtown still.
That's great.
Just
a lot of it's not that way anymore now.
Right. If you you go 1 or 2 blocks north of
yeah.
or south of us, and it's like it's a different crowd that it is
yeah.
appealing towards.
And much higher rents, I'd imagine.
Much higher rents. Yeah. For a while, I was paying more in rent for my house than the store rent.
Oh wow.
Which is
never happened.
Really,
right.
really hard to come to terms with, but.
Very cool, man. So you've, I'm sure, seen all kinds of wonderful, amazing instruments. One of which we're holding today.
Yes.
So what is this?
This is a 1965 Gretsch. The model's a 6117 double anniversary.
Wow.
And so this is one that there was a batch of labels in 1957, I believe, that went missing in the factory. And so then in 65, they had found them. And so there's a subset of 65s that have a label from
the label would have like the serial
number. Yeah, so if you look
yeah.
at that serial number, it's a 1957, but it's absolutely not a 1957 because it's definitely a 1965.
They just used them, that was a...
Yeah, they had them left over, they found them, and it was like... So if you go to the serial number databases, you'll see where there's this little group where it all of a sudden is like...
And this is a full hollow body.
Full hollow. You've got the Hylotron pickups.
So what's up with Gretsch's pickups? It seems like they always have a unique pickup thing going on.
They're definitely like they look like humbuckers, but to me they're sort of how P90s are, where it's a single, or like lipstick Dan Electro pickups are, where it is a single coil, but there's definitely the way that it's built, it sounds different than a traditional like Strat or Tele pickup.
Right, absolutely it does. Yeah.
And then there's variations between the couple different models, Filtertrons, Hylotrons, TV Jones pickups. I know I'm forgetting another one.
These are all on Gretsch's?
They're all, different ones you'll see on Gretsch's. Like some have their like all metal and with the 2 lines, and then some with the so they all sound a little different, but essentially it's a it's like a jazz box.
Okay.
This one is.
So when I've heard the term Gretsch bucker, is that like a humbucker made by Gretsch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That could be the Filtertron. I know someone out there will be like, no, it's the
Oh,
other
hating
one.
on you.
How
You
could
said the
not
wrong
know?"
one. Yeah. Believe me, we put ourselves out there. as
But that,
guitar
or like,
enthusiasts.
it's,
Yeah.
there's definitely different ones. There's definitely crunchier ones. If you're trying to go on stage and rock with this, you totally could, but like something crunchier is going to get you a little further.
So this has a jazzier kind of quality.
To me, it's definitely that more mellow with the like 2 volumes and master tone and fixed tone switch.
Yeah.
It's one of those like get your blend, set it and forget it, or switch between like your neck and your bridge for your solo tone or rhythm tone. So.
Well, it plays so great. The action
it's-
on it's fantastic.
It is. This one is in one of the better it's not perfect, but a lot of the time, like the binding's still intact. That's the big thing with Gretsch. Like,
the binding comes off. Yeah.
the binding disintegrate.
Yeah.
Similar to old Gibson pickguards. If this stayed in the case the whole time, the binding gives off gassing. It gives off a chemical.
Wow.
And it corrodes the
Even if it's sitting in the
electronics.
case.
So you'll see ones that are perfect with no checking and no marks and no play wear, but the binding's gone, the pickguard's disintegrated, all the hardware's all rusted.
Wow.
All of that.
That's crazy.
And it's just this. So this one, because it was left out of the case and played, you've got binding, and it's like yes, it's going to come off, yes, it's going to fall off eventually, but this is like a really. So when you see like, oh well, this one's all what it's like, there's the binding's gone.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
pickups have been changed.
Exactly.
It doesn't have the pick. This is like
This is great.
original
man.
case candy.
Does it stay in tune? I know the the old Bigsby.
Pretty well, because it's got the roller bridge.
Okay.
It's not like binding in a V-shaped saddle.
Okay.
So the idea is that it rolls.
Okay.
I suppose that's why sometimes you'll see people put, not on this, but put like roller nuts on guitars with tremolo systems,
To try to
just so
keep
it doesn't bind.
Okay.
That's definitely a place where it's like I use my Bigsby and it never goes back to where it is. It's like it's not this spring because it's going back. It's when the string binds here at the top and then it changes pitch on stuff. So.
And is this mounted?
That's floating.
It's floating. So if you took the strings off, this would fall off.
Going everywhere. Yeah. So you should do it one at a time.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna do an actual setup, I would put like tape. Like on mine, I've got a guitar that I just put like little marks.
So when you take it off, you know where to put it back on.
Yeah, if it ever moves, or it's really easy. Like sometimes when you put your hand on it and rest, like a Les Paul bridge that's going nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
Some people will rest their hand there,
And it moves.
You rest your hand there, and that like it'll slide.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So you got to be aware of that, I'm
just
sure.
be mindful.
Yeah.
Be mindful of it. But
Absolutely.
this isn't, to me, again, it's not one of those like you could. But with the full hollow and all that, it's like you're not going to go play this in front of a half stack.
Right, yeah, you'd be feeding back pretty bad.
Very quickly, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now you talked about checking. So checking is when the lines form in the finish,
it's in the old nitrocellulose finish.
Yeah.
It just does just the way it is. So sometimes it'll go. To me, it always kind of goes with the grain.
Yeah.
But you've seen, we've had some that are purely horizontal.
Wow, that's strange.
And if you'll see here, like it's not checking, and then here it is.
Right.
There's, basically, I think it's from like temperature changes, essentially.
They've become kind of
shifting and all
people
that
have gotten real into checking as a positive thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
Well, it kind of lets you know it's real.
yeah.
Like my EB3 that's back there, you can see that like you can't fake that. Like yes, custom shop stuff does great, and yes, you can relic things, and take it and drag it behind your car, but you can take I'm sure there's ways, right? They've got techniques, but there's like something about it when it's age, you just know.
Yeah, and
right?
I believe that guitars have something in them. I don't know, you call it a soul or whatever it is, but like I got a 53 Epiphone arch top that's electric, and I can play it for like an hour,
right?
man. I can just play it. I write songs on it. I write riffs anytime I pick it up.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll pick up one of my other nice guitars, and I'm like, eh.
It's totally nice and it sounds great, but
Yeah.
there's something like there's definitely something to that.
Sounds fantastic, man.
So yeah, you got your pickups.
So this switches back and forth between pickups.
Yeah. So you
So
can
that would
set
be the
like
neck.
a quieter volume, and then
Oh, and then switch, yeah.
and then with your master, overall.
Okay. So you got independent volume controls. You got a master volume.
Yep.
This is switching back and forth between these two pickups.
Yep.
And this is like a tone.
It's like a tone. Sometimes it's what gets confusing to me is with all the different models. Like sometimes it's a phase thing.
Oh, right.
Sometimes it's a tone thing. Sometimes it's only on one pickup. Sometimes it's
You know, I've noticed on the Rickenbacker.
just flip them a lot.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and just like run with it.
I noticed Rickenbacker has that one extra knob that only affects
Yes.
the neck pickup. It gives it like a drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's some that on some of the 12 strings, it's like an overall high cut,
Oh, wow.
or sometimes it's a low cut.
Wow.
Sometimes
yeah.
it's
Depends on the year and model, I guess. I mean, yeah.
or did somebody mod it? Like,
Oh, right.
I sold,
yeah.
I modded my Strat to be middle pickup and treble pickup on the tone knob.
Huh.
Whereas traditionally it's neck and middle on a tone, and you have no control over the bridge pickup.
So if you have the magical superpower of being able to take the electronics out of the guitar and alter them the way you want, do you
Right.
find yourself doing that all the time?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's like you should make something work for you in the way that you want it to.
Right, right.
I did a similar thing to my bass. I took the tone knob and it's called a no-load tone pot. It's where if you take a normal tone pot and turn it all the way up, even though it's all the way up, it's still going to have that amount of resistance. Like if it's a 250K tone pot, there's always going to be 250K resistance in your signal.
Even though you're turning it.
Even though it's all the way open,
Right.
just naturally. So what I put in mine is when you turn it all the way up, it's like it's not there.
Huh.
So you still have a tone knob that works, but when I turn it all the way up, it's basically like I've wired the pickup straight to the jack.
Wow.
So yes, absolutely, you can get in there and tinker, but that's why
yeah.
you see like 70s tellies or strats or whatever that have had a humbucker cut into
Yeah,
them
exactly,
and have
yeah.
all 70s
That
were a
affects that
bad time
collectability.
for Fenders.
Yeah.
Getting modded,
Yeah.
80s and that stuff. But
Yeah, we ended up with a 79 Strat that had Mustang pickups in it, and it had all kinds of crazy stuff.
and you don't know like why it did that.
Yeah.
A lot of times it could be something happened.
Right, right.
So they did this. You don't get to know the story, but
Yeah.
like there are other times where you get something and go,
I know, yeah.
why? But to that same effect, it's like, yes, you can take your Fender Bassman and turn it into a Marshall, right? Like that's where the early Marshalls came from. They took
Oh,
the
really?
early Bassmans. Yeah, it's a Bassman. They took the Bassmans. Jim Marshall did a little tweak, give it some more gain. There's your early Marshalls.
the bass.
This is where Marshalls come from.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did he work for Fender at
No,
all?
he was a British dude that they were taking Bassmans and hot rodding,
Wow, really?
essentially.
And came up with what it became Marshall.
Right, and
Yeah.
that is the early. So there's a kind of JTM Marshall. They call them Marshall offsets.
Okay.
So we're like within the head box, whereas nowadays they're right in the center. These are all shifted over to the side.
Huh.
And those are like the early. There's a recording studio in town called Echo Mountain that has one of the early like
Oh, that's
actual
cool.
Marshall
Does
offset.
it sound fantastic, or does it
They
sound
sound great. It's
Yeah.
also just kind of sounds like a Fender.
Right,
Bassman.
yeah, right.
But so in that effect, it's like yes, so you can do that, but don't buy something to try and turn it into a Marshall.
Right, right, right.
You know.
I mean, does it? I guess it decreases its collectible value when it's been altered. Is that?
Yes, and then that's a whole other thing is like cosmetic condition and all of those things. Like you can have a guitar that's super perfect and has no cosmetic issues, and it's like a time capsule, but then people try to charge so much money for them that it's
Right.
like you're getting into like the collector
Right.
side versus this is in really good shape and it's worth money, but like this, right? Yeah, there's wear on it. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it is one of the better cosmetic examples. So this is going to be worth more than one with no pick guard, no original case,
Yeah.
no binding, pickups changed, new tuners, right? So it's like all of those things. Like when I first started working at the other place, like refrets still hurt the value.
Huh.
It's like, well, if there's no frets on it and you can't play it, what?
Why not refret it?
Yeah, you got to make
Yeah.
it be playable. But people finally realized, oh, you kind of have to.
Now there's the possibility that it was refretted poorly.
Absolutely. Or
Yeah.
the same way when somebody, has services an old tube amp and you have
Right.
to change the caps and they do a bad job. Or
Yeah.
like, refinishing kills the value.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I always skip anything I see with refinished.
That's how I got that Dan Electro bass.
Oh,
That's
really?
a refin, yeah.
Really?
So it's
is that a
half the price.
60s Dan Electro bass?
Could be 50s.
Could be 50s.
Could be 50s.
58, 59 kind of. Late
Somewhere in there.
50s,
I
yeah.
haven't like really dated the pots
Okay.
and stuff. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool. So the way you date a guitar is you take out the electronics and look at the pots.
Ideally. So with
Okay.
Fender, once you get into the 70s, has a pretty good serialization.
Okay.
Where it, depending on, I can tell you just by looking at it, if you know that nothing else has been changed, I can tell you what year it is on the serial number.
Right.
Gibson gets a little tricky because they've reused serial numbers or
Right.
doesn't always work. With
Yeah.
Martin, you have like the last serial number for a year. So you know that if it's, under this but over that, it was this
right.
year,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But like that 60s Gibson or the SG Junior.
Okay.
You look at the serial number, it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be this.
Yeah.
But then you look at date the pots, and they all have same with speakers. Like I can look at speakers or transformers or pots and tell you who made it and what year they made
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Because there's like a week and a week and a year code.
And then on guitars that have bolt-on necks, you can take off the neck and look. Like
So on
Fender,
Fender stuff, then
Yeah.
you can because of that.
it could have
you can-
separated the neck from the body.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you date the neck, you date the body, you date the electronics, meaning the pots and the pickups.
Yeah.
And
And if anybody doesn't
you
know,
just never know.
A
It's
pot
good.
is you got the knob which
Potentiometer.
goes to the potentiometer, which
Yep.
then goes to the pickup.
Yeah. Or do it the other way because where the
Okay.
signal starts.
Oh, that's true. So
right?
it's coming from the string, it goes
String
through.
vibrates it, magnet picks it up, sends a signal to the volume pot. If this was with a tone pot, you would take that signal, it would be affecting this the whole time.
Right.
And then it goes out to the jack or to the, the switch.
where the cord is, which goes to the amp,
Yep.
which makes it.
There you go.
There you go.
Yes.
Every episode, we pick a nonprofit and we give to them using Givolio.com, which is a web app that we developed. And on this episode, we were at Heyday Music in Asheville, North Carolina. So I thought it'd be cool to pick a nonprofit that's local to Asheville. And I went with the Appalachian Sustainable Agricultural Project, or ASAP. We hear a lot about the farm-to-table movement, and this nonprofit actually facilitates that whole industry by connecting farmers to markets and supporters to actually make farm-to-table happen and be a sustainable thing.